Types and process of communication. I'm B. Mutumari from Biological Science Department. Synopsis. Introduction. Chart for types of communication. Types, differences, process, conclusion. Introduction. Communication is fundamental to the health and operation of an organization. It is a process of creating and sharing ideas, information, views, facts, feelings, etc. among the people to reach a common understanding. Communication is the key to the directing function of management. So today we are going to learn about communication types and process. Chart for the communication. Types of communication. It's divided into two based on communication channel, based on the style and purpose. And based on the communication channel is subdivided into non-formal and non-verbal and verbal. Then again this verbal is divided into oral and written. This oral and written is subdivided into face-to-face oral interaction communication and face-to-face oral distance communication. Then written face-to-face. Then written communication. Then types of communication is verbal, non-verbal, written, visual. Then types. Verbal communication. It is a type of oral communication wherein the message is transmitted through the spoken words. Here the sender gives words to his feelings, thoughts, ideas, and opinions, and express them in the form of speeches, discussion, presentation, and conversation. Verbal communication has another very important part, listening. Speaking plus learning gives verbal communication. Introduction of a verbal communication. This is a verbal communication. Then oral communication. It takes place in the face-to-face conversation, group discussion, etc. Spoken words are used to direct, instruct, and share experiences. Written communication. A written communication means the sending of message, orders, or instructions in written through letters, circulars, manuals, reports, telegrams, office memos, bulletins, etc. Non-verbal communication. The non-verbal communication is a process of conveying meaning without the use of words either written or spoken. In other words, any communication made between two or more persons through the use of facial expression and hand movements, body language, postures, and gestures is called as non-verbal communication. Verbal communication. It is one that flow both up and down the organization, usually along with formal reporting lines. It consists of two types, namely upward communication, downward communication. First, upward communication. It consists of message from subordinates to superiors. The message may be in the form of request, response, suggestion, complaints, etc. Communication which flows to a higher level in a company is known as upward communication. It gives feedback on how well the company is working. This is the example. See, manager, superior, and worker. Then advantages of communication. Upward communication. Good relation, providing counsel, favorable organization environment, knowledging employee attitude, feedback, promote appreciation, discussion making, development of creativity, motivation, development of plan. Disadvantages of upward communication. Provides only favorable information. Discouraged due to lack of proper response. Take time to communicate the problems. Willful manipulation of information. Treat of negatively react by superior. Then downward communication. Downward communication is a flow of information and message from higher level inside an organization to a lower one. Effective downward communication is crucial to an organization's success. Creating conscious communication and maintaining a respectful tone help ensure effective downward communication. Making sure that employees clearly understand the information is also a crucial. Differences in experience, knowledge, levels of authority, and status can lead to misunderstanding and misinterpretations. Manager, supervisor, worker is a downward communication. Advantages of downward communication: efficiency, ease of declaration, delegation, organizational discipline, effective communication of goals. Disadvantages of downward communication: interactive problems, dissertation, non-motivating, slow feedback, lowest mobile, more moreable. Horizontal communication. Horizontal communication, also called a lateral communication, is the practice of shared information between employees, departments, and units within the same level of organization. When using this method, businesses aim to improve teamwork and problem-solving skills by encouraging the correct flow of message from people at the same hierarchical level. Therefore, when the company grows, horizontal communication provides a feeling of unity within a team that works towards the same goals. This type of communication also allows employees from different departments to work together in a synchronized work environment. Horizontal communication, then production manager, sales manager, and purchase. These are in the same level. The advantages: improving horizontal communication is a trend in business today. Coordinates activities, improves problem solving skill, decrease misunderstanding, promotes teamwork, increase job satisfaction. Disadvantages: however, there are few disadvantages to use horizontal communication that you should consider before implementing it in your workplace. This method be difficult to maintain control, be time consuming, create conflict between employees, create a lack of discipline. In graphene communication, it is a channel through which the actual communication between various troops of the organization takes place and gives out the desired outcome. Since it is unstructured and not under complete control of management, it moves through the organization in every direction. It moves upwards, downward, and diagonally within and without chains of command between workers and managers, and even with and without a company. It gives out an idea that graphene is not a form of communication which flows structural path. It moves in all the directions, that is up, down, and even diagonally. Types of graphene communication: the wheel, the cluster, the chain, free flow. Advantages of graphene communication: spreads rapidly, quick feedback, group consciousness, propagate quickly, substitute for formal channel. Disadvantages of graphene communication: sudden, unexpected, and unwanted, sometimes dangerous to the organization, irrelevant gossips, personal verification, and chapter assassination. Moderate but not eradicate, excretes or destroys. Interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is a process of exchange of information, ideas, feelings between two or more people through verbal or non-verbal method. It often includes face-to-face exchange of information in the form of voice, facial expression, body language, and gestures. The level of one interpersonal communication skill is measured through the effectiveness of transferring message to others. Commonly used interpersonal communication within an organization include daily internal employee communication, client meetings, employee performance reviews, and project discussion. In addition, online conversation today make a large proportion of employees. Interpersonal communication in the workplace. It is an example for it. Intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is a type of communication that occurs within oneself. It can be spoken, written, or just random thoughts. It can all occur in your mind. It is like a discussion or a way of reaching out in the mind. Intrapersonal communication occurs every time we discuss our well being, health, happiness, imaginative thoughts, and whatnot. It can be positive or negative, with the babblings of thoughts. All the rhetoric and overthinking or intrapersonal communication. Health communication can make us feel relaxed and rejectiveness as after a very long stressful and treating way. We sometimes put ourselves in imaginary situations, and yes, that is also a part of interpersonal communication. Types of interpersonal communication: self awareness, perception, expectations. Then differences: intrapersonal versus interpersonal versus intrapersonal. Interpersonal, intrapersonal, it refers to something involved relation between persons, refers to something occurred within the individual mind or self. There are two or more parties involved. There are no external parties involved. There are varied reasons for people to engage in interpersonal communication. Many may involve critical analysis or even a response to loneliness. There is a feedback from the parties involved. There is only individual feedback. Process of communication. The communication is a dynamic process that begins with the conceptual of ideas by the sender, who then transmit the message through a channel to the receiver, who in turn give the feedback in the form of some messages or signals within the given time frame. Thus, there are seven major elements of communication process. It is a process: sender, encoding, message, channel, receiver, decoding, feedback, then again sender. For sender, the sender or the communicator is a person who initiates the conversation and has conceptualized the idea that he intends to convey it to others. Encoding. The sender begins with the encoding process, wherein he uses certain words or non-verbal methods such as symbols, signs, body gestures, etc. to translate the information into a message. The sender knowledge, skills, perception, background competencies has a great impact on the success of the message. Is encoding message, it gives a decoding, is an interpretation, then again he encode the message and then get a feedback message, again decoding. Message. Once the encoding is finished, the sender gets the message that he intends to convey. The message can be written, oral, symbolic, or non-verbal, such as body gestures, silence, signs, sounds, etc., or any other signals that triggers the response of the receiver. Communication channel. The sender chooses the medium through which he wants to convey his message to the recipients. It must be selected carefully in order to make the message effectively and correctly interpreted by the recipients. The choice of medium depends on the interpersonal relationship between the sender and the receiver, and also to the urgency of the message being sent. Oral, visual, written, sound, gestures, etc. are some of the commonly used communication mediums. Receiver. The receiver is a person for whom the message is intended or targeted. He tries to comprehend it in the best possible manner such that the communication objectives is attained. The degree to which the receiver decodes a message depends on the knowledge of the subject matter, experience, trust, and relationship with the sender. Decoding. Here, the receiver interprets the sender message and tries to understand it in the best possible manner. An effective communication occurs only if the receiver understands a message in exactly the same way as it was intended by the sender. Feedback. The feedback is the final step of the process that ensures the receiver has received the message and interpreted it correctly as it was intended by the sender. It increases the effectiveness of the communication as it is permit the sender to know the efficiency of his message. The response of the receiver can be verbal or non-verbal. See, this the sender he he send a message through medium is a receiver, and the message is movie starts at 9. Can you drive us? Then he gave the feedback. Yeah, be there by 8:30. Conclusion. In my conclusion, communication is just not words, it is a mixture of tone, body language. You can effectively utilize your voice tone and body language to convey your message across. It is often advised to establish eye to eye contact wherever possible rather than other forms in indirect communication. Not only for this, sometimes you send wrong message just only one word also will make you lose money or harm people in business. So that in the business ways, communication is very important. Sometimes not only business way, when you talk with people also will spoil your morality. You should be careful while communicating with others. These are the references. Thank you.